embrace the magical side of life, where anything is possible and the infinite is accessible to all? Let's have a conscious conversation about what's going on in the world, in your life, and your relationship from the expanded perspective of your soul. The path to awareness begins and ends in the heart. So let's take it there, one step at a time, and learn to cultivate magic in your life every single day. In each episode, we share a collective space in which we discover the unique facets of our own magic and embody our superhuman qualities by humbly exploring how it's super simply to be human. Hosts Kaí and Dell co-create a magical experience to remind you that you are magical as fuck. Now, be unleashed. This is our daily magic.
Why, hello there. And we are live. Welcome to another exciting episode of our Daily Magic, your Dantro. And we're just here to have a magical conversation and see what happens when three magical beings have a magical co-created conversation. But our intent is from this conversation that whoever's listening, you get something that helps you to bring forth a little bit more of your magic into your life. I am one half of the amazing co-host team, Dell, and
I'm Kaí.
And we have a very, very amazing guest today. It's tonight somewhere.
And I have the honor of introducing Debra Martin, who is a certified research medium with the Windbridge Research Center, where she participates in afterlife research. Debra's natural gift of clairvoyance first occurred when she was an adolescent. Deborah certainly did not comprehend the magnitude of her gift, her ability to communicate with the spirit world was evolving. Once an adult, and with the encouragement of researchers, Doctors Julie Beischel and Gary Schwartz, Debra emerged as a much-respected medium. Always following her kind, loving intention, Debra began sharing this gift with others, relaying messages from loved ones who have crossed over. And Debra soon discovered that channeling these messages from the deceased with those that were left behind assisted in the healing process, giving a sense of peace and comfort. And you can find Debra at goldenmiracles.com, which is scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. But Debra, let's hear from you. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited about this today. You know, I've been thinking about what should we talk about, right? What can we really bring to the audience? And I thought that we could talk about shifts. Many people hear, well, what is a shift? How do we look at a shift? And I believe shifts bring us awareness, a spiritual awakening. They can bring us love, but they can also bring us fear. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. When I was younger, probably about the age 4, I would start to see spirit faces come to see me at night, and they would just hover like right in front of my face. That was scary. You know, they'd come in crowds or they'd just come one by one. And I would always turn my face and go, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see you. Or I'm yelling down the stairs, Mom, I can't fall asleep, right? And we hear our children do that often. Like, I don't want to go to sleep. I can't sleep with the light off. So they might be seeing spirit. And that shift closed my door to the spirit world because I had so much fear. And so we have to talk about that. Like, maybe we need to think about what is really happening. But at age 4 back then, mediumship wasn't something we talked about. wasn't something that we discussed with their parents, and I didn't even know how to explain it. So I just wanted it to go away. So then I had another shift. Oh, and I want to talk about this too. Like shifts could be like, let's talk about the unconditional love shift. When somebody has a baby for the first time and the baby's born, and you look at that baby and you go, oh my gosh, I've never felt that kind of love before. That's like that unconditional. You can't deny that. Or we may lose a loved one, right? And we're grieving that loved one. But that all of a sudden shifts us to, well, where are they? You know, and that becomes a gift to us. We start opening our eyes to the afterlife, and we start searching. So that deep pain brought us the greatest gift of there's more out there. So I want to talk to you about my first shift, which happened in 1997. In 1997, I was just, you know, like anybody else, going along with their world. Everything's great. And I was out with a group of friends. And it was the same night that Princess Diana had her car accident. And I was watching, you know, the episode. And you probably all can remember that. It was horrific, going, oh my gosh, what happened? Is, you know, we're really in tune. Well, I was so in tune that when I was ready to leave that night, it was late. I didn't want to get into the car. And I had a premonition, don't go in the car. But I didn't know what a premonition was. I didn't know that I was feeling, that gut feeling. I was hearing those voices. And I just was like, I'm just going to ignore this. My friends are like, just get in the car. It's just because you watched that on TV about Princess Diana. Well, I did proceed to get into the car. And about 15 minutes on the freeway, I was struck by another vehicle. But right before I was struck, was amazing. I'm sitting in a sports car in the back seat of the car, and I feel something's going to happen. It wasn't like I saw it. I just felt it. And then I said, no, don't, you know, save us. I'm a single mom of 3. And at that very moment, I heard the bang. And we spun and took 40 feet of guardrail out and came facing oncoming traffic. We were stuck in our car. We couldn't get out. And we were really scared. Well, I'm watching cars coming. We can't get out. We're kind of still in that where are we stage. And someone came to our car and was able to open the car. I don't know how he opened the car. If you could see, I have pictures in my book, Proof of Miracles, what this car looked like. There's nothing left. And there were 3 of us, took each of us one by one to an embankment. And I can remember he came to me and he kissed me on my forehead. And I said, no, don't leave yet. I had this ring on my finger and it was bleeding, and he put it in his mouth, and he bit the ring, and I have his teeth marks on the ring. I know he was real. But when I looked to my right and saw all these fire trucks coming, and I looked to my left, he was gone. He was never there again. Where was this man? How come no one else saw him? And that kind of shook me, right? I was saved. How did I hear that was going to happen before it happened? What just transpired, and who was that? And it opened my door to the afterlife. I started going to seminars. I started listening to podcasts. It was one of my most tragic moments that became my greatest gift, because I cannot imagine now walking without spirit. So then, after I'm going through, you know, in 1997, opening my doors of the spirit world, listening to mediums and kind of hearing spirit myself, not really knowing too much about it. I was in now another car accident, and that car accident happened in 2000. This time I was just sitting in a left turn bay, ready to go cross the street. I had no premonition at all, none. I was just waiting for traffic to clear. But all of a sudden, I was out of my body. And now I'm watching from another dimension everything that's going to happen to me. Okay, so I'm watching, but I'm not really realizing that I'm watching, right? It's just like you're there, you're present. And I hear this strong voice behind me go, "Are you ready?" It felt very loving. Couldn't see it, but I heard the voice, felt it, and I felt connected. Like I knew this being. And I watched these cars that were, this car that was going to come up and over my car and crush me. And I said, well, I'm not going to survive that. And in a split second, my 4-door Honda was now a 2-door Honda. I was now once again, just like the last vehicle accident, I'm in this little pocket in the back seat. All my doors, windows were crushed. My driver's seat was broken. The seatbelt was broken. And I was in the back seat with a mouthful of glass. At that moment, there was a police officer at my door. "Are you okay? Are you okay? We were trying to get the man that was in a diabetic seizure off the road, and you are what stopped him." He was going about 65 miles an hour when he hit me. And he put me into oncoming traffic. There's another man standing at my window. And I really was still kind of coming to and listening to everything. The police officer looked at him and said, "Are you all right?" It's like, "No, I don't know what just happened. I thought that I was going to crush her." But at a split moment, somebody took my steering wheel and put me into oncoming traffic. At that moment, I went, whoa, it was like a download. I saw that. I saw that. How? And he's describing what I saw, and now I'm here. That shook me. That was a huge shift. And I walked away from that accident not having anything wrong, and they were strapping me down. You could have internal injuries, taking me the ambulance to the hospital, and I walked away from that with just a minor injury. So that was one of my most tragic moments, but a huge awakening, a spiritual awakening. Something more exists. I heard the voice. I was there. Spirit has to exist. So that led me to go get tested by Dr. Julie Beischel and Dr. Gary Schwartz. Is mediumship real? Am I crazy? Am I really hearing these voices? You know? And by being tested the way they test, it's such a strong, rigorous way that you can't deny what you're getting. So they gave me the credentials and basically the backbone and confidence that I could do this, right? So I started doing mediumship work, thinking, okay, this is my job, and I've been doing it. I was doing it not more of a job, but doing it as I loved it for people, right? I was married, my husband supported me, life was good, until 1/21/12, I think Spirit wanted to get my attention again. On that day, I was very, very sick. I was being seen for 6 months by Mayo Clinic. I was down to about 90 pounds. I was losing my dignity. I couldn't have the ability to hold my bowels. I was in complete pain. I was laying in a fetus position. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I had a daughter in 3rd grade. Imagine this. And I was ready just to go. And that, to me, even thinking back, brings tears to me, thinking I was ready to leave her. Now she's off to college, and I have a hard time with her even being gone. But on that day, I remember praying for months, just take me. Spiritual surgeons showed up in my room, and I wasn't afraid of them because I've seen spirit. That was a gift in itself. I allowed them to start working on me, and it became very, very painful to the point where I almost wanted to stop. I remember just taking a deep breath. And at that deep breath, I left my body. I was now transcending to someplace else, but I was not in any pain, and I was not scared, and I was so calm. And I just came to this space. I can remember going, it's like if you ever had a dream where you feel like you're floating and you're going higher and higher and higher, and you're there, all of a sudden you're there. So I'm in this space, and there's white all around me. And I'm looking this way, looking that way, and there's nobody else around. It's just white. I'm like, This is it. But I felt peaceful. I felt safe. And then all of a sudden I see this white light getting brighter, 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 and it's coming closer to me. And now I'm watching that this being is holding me in his arms. And I'm like, wow, last time I was standing, this time I'm being held. I must be really, really sick. And I knew this being is what I call God. And I believe God comes in many forms for us to recognize. And so he came in the form that I recognized. And I followed him. And he led me to this beam. He placed my body on this beam. And next to it was this glass coffin. I love the glass coffin. It looked like Snow White. I'm like, oh, I want to sit in that. It's beautiful. And I'm like, oh, I better not. What was interesting is I was communicating, not like I'm talking to you. I'm communicating in my mind, right? And so I heard, follow me. Well, where are we going? We went into like this white dome. And I said, why are we going in here? And you'd question, like, why am I questioning God, right? But you just do. It's like there you have this relationship, and we should all question God. We should all talk and have a relationship like we're talking today. And so we're in this beam of light, and he said, we're going into this dome so no one in the universe can hear. This is just between you and I. So it's kind of like a very sacred space. And he showed me my life contract, and it was long. And I'm like, I didn't read it all. And I didn't really know what was at the end, right? Because that was going to be my future. And so I do remember there was a couple words, one was voice and one was health. And one was, so the health, I questioned. I said, health doesn't mean much. I don't want to go back not healthy. And immediately I saw LY added. And I said, voice, oh, well, that's my mediumship. I can do that. But I really don't want to go back. I'm healthy here. Can I just, while I'm here, can I see my parents? Nope. I often wondered if I would have seen my parents, I probably wouldn't have went back. And so I was told, remember this date, 1/21/12, all things are reversible, and so is this. You are on borrowed time, go back now. God signed that contract too, so I knew that no matter what I was signing this oath to do, God had my back. And that I had to remember that, because I didn't know what hardships were coming, but that meant everything to me, because I knew Spirit had my back. So as I was coming back, I'm floating back, and it just feels like you're just almost just coming into the body, and my body went like this. And I remember going, oh, taking a breath of water. Have you ever been held underwater, when you're playing, when you're kids and they dunk you and you hold, and then you'll come up and you go, oh, I got to gasp for air. That's what it felt like. And I wondered, what just happened? Was I reborn? Did I shift? What really just happened? And it took me a long time. I wanted to write everything down that just transpired. Well, when things like this happen to you, not everybody wants to believe you. Not everybody's is like on board. Like we go, oh, wow, that's so exciting. Wow, I want to know more. No. My former husband at the time was like, what are you talking about? I was okay with the mediumship. This is just a little bit much now. And that happens to a lot of people with NDEs. Their partners or their family members, they can't relate and they don't want to relate. And that's okay. And that's what I want to tell you is that's okay, because everybody's on their own path. Everybody's taking their own journey. And you might be at a different level. And that's all right, as long as you speak your truth to one another. And he spoke his truth to me. We ended up having to walk separate paths. But we honored one another, so that if I would have stayed, I would have been 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So what came from that was many blessings. Like my mediumship heightened. I had the gift of healing. And with that gift of healing, I was seeing miracles. And they were so profound, you could not deny them. There was a man that had Hodgkin's lymphoma of the brain and the spine, was given 1% chance with the most intense chemo to survive. He was a professor himself, not knowing what is this? My family wants me to do this healing session. All right. He didn't believe. Do we need to believe? to have a healing? Do we need to believe to be touched by God? No. He was the biggest skeptic. And the beauty of this is in 5 days, Banner Anderson Hospital did a brain scan and a spinal tap. They found no cancer. They said, this has to be wrong. Let's do it again. And there was nothing. And he asked me, like, why me? You know, I'm in my 70s. Why me? And I said, why not you? Why not you? You are loved. You are God's masterpiece. Why not you? And that's why we forget, like, we always think, well, oh, somebody else is worse off than me. No, put yourself first. Honor you. You are just as important as anybody else. And so I've learned great lessons through that. And I became a great healer with that. And then I was struck with cancer. Okay. Really, God? You want me to have cancer? I'm a healer. How are people going to relate to that? Do I voice it? Do I keep it quiet? What do I do? Well, cancer was in the beginning, I thought, my beast. I'm going to fight this beast. I learned that cancer was something not to fight, but something to love. To love my body. Our bodies are so magnificent. They do so much that we're going to have things throughout our life. So it's going to cause us to go through some kind of illness or emotional imbalance or whatever it may be. Send love to it, because love heals. I went through the journey with cancer, holding its hand, and learned so much, where now in my healing sessions, I'm not looking at cancer through the window. I'm on their side. I've been there. So God gave me the greatest gift of knowing and understanding and having more compassion than I ever thought I would. I was like, I have enough compassion. What's going on? So that beast turned into my beauty, the beauty and the beast. I saw the beauty in it. And so I ended up writing a book called Doctor's Faith and Courage for anybody that's going through any kind of illness. Because at that time, I was told, write everything down, write your prayers, write what you're going through, be raw, because somebody else is going to go through that, and you will give them the tools. And some people would say, well, as a healer, why did you see a doctor? I asked Spirit, I sat with Spirit, do what's right with you, pray. And what I heard was, why wouldn't you use every tool in the toolbox? We work through doctors too. We created that medicine for you, not against you. So that's why I talk about these shifts. These shifts are happening for us. Had I not gone through all those little hardships, I wouldn't be who I am today. And now it's like, it is who I am. It's not just, this is what I do. It's who I am. And that's why I think these shifts make us who we are. Like when we have that baby, we become a mom, right? That's who you are. Just a little piece of you. So we're growing, and we're having that enlightenment, and we're having these awareness, and we're going on this spiritual journey. And so my gift to all of you is to try to look at these hardships and see the blessing in them. And we might not recognize them right away, but there is always a silver lining. And if we can just continue to hold on to that hope, this is happening for me. When it was happening for me with cancer, I'm like, yeah, right. I really love this cancer treatment. This is wonderful. And I like going to radiation. But I decided, instead of having that fear, because that causes resistance, having that love and walking it through grace, when you have gratitude every day, it really opens the door to being able to get through anything. And when we don't have gratitude, because I've talked to even some teenagers going through COVID right now, and they're struggling. I don't have gratitude. Then gratitude doesn't have to be big. Gratitude can be like, I just saw the bird, or I heard them chirping, or I have a bed to sleep in, where some people don't. It just surrounds us, is everywhere. So we don't have to search for it. And then when I ask them, well, can you find one piece of joy? And some of them can't. They can't. And it's so sad. I hear this like, okay, so what did you do today that could have found, one piece of joy? And it could be like, well, I went to the store and I got some gum. Great. That's joy. You got something. That's why I say it's everywhere, and it surrounds us. And gratitude and joy fills and raises our vibration of love. And when we start to feel that love, we start to embrace ourselves with love and love ourselves enough that then all of a sudden joy becomes natural, gratitude becomes natural, and everything else in life seems a lot easier. So thank you for letting me share this.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. And it's really amazing that you have many.
Yeah, and I'm like, sometimes you think, is this enough, right? I've gone through enough, and I'm doing your work, and this is my mission and my calling. But do I want to stop learning? So I'm not asking for the hardships, but even the smallest hardships can be our lessons. And we don't want to stop learning, right? We want to have these things. It's like, taking a bicycle ride, and we stumble upon something. If we're not aware of it, we might not see it. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a feather laying there. That was placed there for me. Thank you. You start to see things through a different lens. And that's what I'm trying to tell people is, just remove the humanness part of yourself where, there's so much ego. I've got to be, I have to act like this, and I have to have this amount of money, and I have to drive this kind of car. Is that really who you are? Ask yourself that question. Who are you? What makes you you? So when I'm doing a healing session, I'm not seeing what kind of car you drive. I'm not seeing how your hair is done. I'm connecting to your soul, right? And what's going on in your body, and being able to see different areas, which I know nothing about you, and I'm able to see things from your past. I'm able to feel what you're going on mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and I'm given the words. That's where the voice came through. Spirit uses me to speak the words that you need to hear in order to be healed. And sometimes they're profound, sometimes they're simple, sometimes they make no sense, but they will in time. And the greatest gift of that, of being the voice, is I never know what's going to transpire in any session. So I'm going in, removing that humanness, removing the ego. This isn't me. I'm just the vessel. I'm orchestrating the session. God's orchestrating the session. And I let it all go. And that's just being. We need to do that. We need to connect to just being who we are, not all the other stuff, because who we are is within us. And when we learn who we are, we're tapping into that infinite love that we're connecting to. And we all can. And so when I do a healing session, I'm connecting to the infinite one. And I see a beam of light. I connect with that beam of light. It's that same beam I saw. And all of a sudden, things just start transpiring. Loved ones might come into the room. I might start feeling pain in a certain area. When I feel pain, you don't deny it. It's like, oh my gosh, there's pain over here. But I'm voicing this because you're not there. You could be, in another country. I've done people in Shanghai, China, and they received the healing instantly before they even listened to the recording. I've had sessions where I'm feeling like I'm going to throw up, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up. It feels like bile, like this has to come out. At that very moment, when they listen to the recording, it was the same time that she was throwing up bile. You can't make this stuff up. But sometimes it's so crazy that you sit there and go, okay, I'm going to send this to this person now. I just told them they're wearing a kidney bag on their left. That's pretty profound. I just told this person they have brain cancer and that in 6 months they will be healed. What? I just told this, there's a story in my book about a little girl who had an emergency a session, and I knew nothing about her. And her dad's like, we're going to do a healing, like for my daughter, who's like a toddler. Well, if my wife feels that she needs to do this, she can do it, but I don't want anything to do with it because I don't know how that works. When he listened to that recording and it told exactly what was wrong with her, it actually was a miracle. She had a blockage here that should have drained down into her body and killed her. Instead, during the healing, I felt it coming up and out of my ear. My ear was in excruciating pain. I'm crying, I'm yelling, I'm explaining it coming out. It came out. The doctors have it in their medical books. How did it flow upward? Not gravity, downward. And so when things like that transpire, and I'm telling her, well, 3 weeks to the day, you're going to be out of that hospital. That's profound. They're hanging on to that hope. Their daughter's in the hospital, and I am going to voice something to that day. It's not me. That's what I have to remember. This isn't me that's voicing it. So then I realize, okay, I'm not responsible. I'm letting go to the universe to say what's going to happen. And when you do that, all of a sudden you don't have to be in fear for anything. When we have the fear and we give that control over, like I'm giving the control to do my healings, it releases all fear. And we know that a greater power is in control, because we really aren't in control. We might have fear like, oh my gosh, like I have to go for an MRI. I have so much fear. But you didn't even think about going out your door and taking that walk or getting into that car and not knowing what was going to happen at that very moment. You just trusted. And that's the trust that you need to have, is that unconditional trust and letting go of the control. So if you do have an MRI coming up, or you do have a situation coming up, either way, you're going to be fine. No matter what, you will be fine. So walk through it with gratitude, walk through it with grace, and let go of the control. And when you do, you'll feel at peace, knowing that the divine can do a whole lot more control better than I can. He took that steering wheel of somebody else and saved me. So it's miraculous what's out there for us. Things are happening for us, not against us. And we need to remember that and hang on to this and remove the fear, throw the fear out. If it shows up, go, I don't want it. I don't need it. Take it. Because you know what? It's not serving me. And just shut it off. Let it go. And surround yourself. Like if you really are in fear, hold yourself, tell yourself, I love myself. I'm okay. People are having so much anxiety today, right? And anxiety is hard. It's heavy. And sometimes it's burning. It gets so scary. What do I have to do? Right now, at that very moment, I want you to ask yourself, are you breathing? Breathing is our greatest gift. And if you're breathing, you're okay. So then you just go, I'm breathing. Not thinking about what I'm having anxiety about. I'm just breathing. I'm okay. And then that starts to lessen that anxiety. And that's where we need to remain in that peaceful spot of I am. Remember, we hear that a lot. People say, I am. So do we want to say, I am fearful? Or do we want to say, I am peace? I am okay. I am love. I am worthy. Right? So we have to change our way of thinking to stay in that gratitude. We have to stay focused. But always use the word I am. I am fine. I am okay. Another thing real quick is in prayer. I call this God is the yes man. Why is that? So many people think prayer is like, I need money. I need a new car. I need a relationship. And God's going, you need a new car. Yep. You need a new relationship. Yep. And you're saying, yes, you do. But what if you said, thank you for this loving relationship I have. Thank you for the money I have. You're not only attracting it because you're saying, I have it. You're giving gratitude. And what is God saying? Yes, you have it. Because you can have all that you want. So change that mind of thinking. It seems so simple, but we laugh at it, right? How many times we go, okay, God, I'm here. I need you now. Instead of going, thank you for what I have. Turn the words around. I had to say, all right, thank you for these chemo pills. I did. Thank you for these chemo pills. I didn't really want them, but I had to thank them before I took them. So I'm blessing everything in prayer versus begging for everything in prayer. Because God is there for us in every situation. And whether you call him God, source, divine, it's all the same. To me, it's love. And love heals. But I'll stop talking because I could continue. And if there's anybody that has questions, I'm more than welcome to answer them.
You read my mind because that was the first thing I was about to say just now. If anybody has any questions, because there's a lot of profound information that you just shared. And anyone that has questions, feel free to share with it. But in the meantime, as you were mentioning, like the request to God for just the different aspects that we want to experience in our life, the new car, the relationship, more money. It reminded me because I have a 9-year-old son. And it's sort of like when my son asking me for something that he wants to experience too. But like in the process of it, it's sort of like, hey, he actually did it today. It was pretty funny. He's like, I was a good boy at school today. I was like, great. Yes, you were a great boy. So it was like the same type of response. But then he's like, can I get V-Bucks for Fortnite? And I was like, I knew it. I knew you were asking for that. So it just reminded me that same type of conversation that we might be having with the higher power of our understanding in that type of way. Like, I'm being such a good person right now. So about that relationship, what's up? What is up with that?
Well, and it's true. Like you think about should we be rewarded for everything, right? Our children, you're talking about your children. Sometimes we have to hear no because it makes us learn how to deal with certain circumstances. So we're not always going to live the glorious life, right? Here I'm doing God's work and thinking everything's going to be fine, and I get cancer. So what's that about? But we can't just live this life of always yes. We have to have the no's because it builds us who we are, and it teaches us how to get through those situations as well. So that's cute about your son, though. Like you kind of knew what he was going to say before he even said it, and I think you psychically you can almost read his mind because you're so in tune and attached by the heart, right? We're connected that we have that bond of I know where he's going with this.
Yeah,
it's so cute. Yes. I can talk a little bit about how my healings work because a lot of people wonder, well, how does that work distant, right? So I don't want to know anything about you, and you would send me your picture, and I would take the picture and I would place it on my body, so I become your proxy. You are relaxing, receiving in your area. Now, people who live in other parts of the country, some of them are working, some of them are sleeping. That's okay. So when you do listen to the recording, that's when you're going to activate it and you're going to download it and become one with it. Now, during the session, I might see spirit come into the room. I might feel things that are going on with the body. I might see things that are going on in the body. I'll hear words, but I also might take you on a spiritual journey, which is like, what is that? Spiritual journeys are great, and you never know what's going to come. And I always say, you don't have to actually be out of body with me. You could just imagine it in your mind it's like I'm telling you the story. And many people will go there with me. And so I've done a lot of those with people that have lost a loved one, whether it's a child or a mate or a father or dad, mom. They go and meet them. And I have podcasts out there where a father was able to hold his son again and remembers the feeling of what it felt like to hug him, and said it was, I could feel his body being exactly the same skeletal body. But they're also really, really fun. Like they can be playful. Like his son was like, oh, watch this, Dad. And he would walk through him, right? And he's like, is this cool? So you never know what's going to transpire, but they're always loving, and yet they can be profound. In other sessions I've had where God greets a person and talks about shame and unworthiness. And this is something that I'll share with all of you, because all of us at some point in our life might be bullied, might be shamed, and we hold on to that, right? We might just hold on to it. Well, God says this: you are all worthy. You're all a masterpiece. And if they have a problem with how you look or how you act, then they could tell me that. And so how would you feel if before you speak to tell somebody, oh, that person looks really funny, or that person's wearing ugly jeans? Stand next to God and tell God, hey, you created that one. It doesn't look so nice. You think that if they thought about what they were going to say and had to say it to God first, they would think before they say it? And I think it's really powerful to teach our children that, because I even have a grandson that was bullied at age 4 in preschool because his little pants, he was sitting there and they could see his underwear. So they were teasing him about his underwear. How sad. And so now I know he's going to be worried what he's wearing every day. Right? It's gonna, I don't really want to go to school. What am I wearing? How do I look? Look at what that did. It shifted him. So I went to him and said, well, what happens is they're not happy about something about themselves. And so they had to put it on you. So sometimes rather than getting angry at somebody that said something mean to you, say that's anger coming out of them. Oh, I feel sorry for them. They're not doing so well. So it's just a whole different way of seeing everything that's happening in your life through a loving way instead of a defensive way. So it's good lessons for our children, good lessons for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
we have a comment and a question here.
Good.
This is from Tina Pinder. It says, beautiful Debra, you are amazing. How do you manage to give so much to others whilst trying to make sure that you look after you? Because it can't be easy to keep that balance, if not draining yourself. And it's so important to look after you.
That is so wonderful to say that. Thank you. I see her name, Tina. Thank you, Tina, for saying that and for tuning in. It is one of my faults, because I love to give. It kind of feeds me, right? And I think we feel good, like when we smile and somebody smiles back, it makes us feel good. So I sometimes overdo, and I think we all do that. And we have to sit back and go, oh gosh, I'm really tired tonight. I got to stop. I got to take care of me. So I find that between my sessions, I'll take the dog for a walk, because being outside, it clears my mind. I have to eat very, very healthy, and I try to exercise as well. And so when I know that I'm not exercising, I'm like, uh-oh, I need to get some balance in my life. So it's a great, great message for all of us, Tina, that we do need to have balance, that sometimes we have to be real. And I want to tell you guys that even though I walk with gratitude, I'm human. We're going to have those emotions that I'm angry, I'm sad. I'm not telling you to push those away, because emotions are really real. Feel them, hug them, cry. It's okay. Tell yourself it's okay. But she's reminding me, take care of yourself today. I'll make sure that I do it. Drink a little extra more water, and just be aware of how much we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And you brought up a great point of we're still human. We have this human part of us. And I was just having a conversation with Kaí about this about either a week or 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, man, even with all the spiritual practices that I do on my own and everything else, I'm like, I'm still like going through some things. Like the emotions, the anger, even I catch myself in little moments of having judgment and thoughts of shame and those type of stuff with me. And I was asking just a curious question. I'm like, if I'm going through this with doing all the stuff I'm doing for myself right now, I can only imagine someone who isn't like in that self-discovery mode. Like, what are they going through with the climate of what's happening in the world? Because I'm like,
yeah,
what's happening in the world is affecting me too. And I'm still doing all these other things to like connect to myself and connect to universe, connect to God, and see things from that higher perspective. But there's always moments where like I get
it hits us.
in. Yeah,
it hits us. And right now the world is heavy, and I can feel that energy at times. I spent one day crying constantly. Like, what am I crying about? Why am I crying? I was feeling the energy of the world around us. And I'm sure you guys can relate. 9/11 was just here, and we went back to those moments. Where were we? And that feeling, that emotion, and that heaviness, that's normal. We're and as a light worker, we feel it even more. We're open to it. We feel it. But going through judgment, going through the shame, going through different things that might be deep down within you, take the time and journal them, because it's releasing it as you're journaling. You're just getting rid of it. And those things are coming up for you to be aware of, so that you can self-heal yourself. So don't shame yourself for feeling that way. Just ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What's really deep down that maybe I forgot? Maybe something happened to me when I was a child that now I have this judgment. How can I release this? And if you can't get to that point of remembering, just ask God to remember it for you, so that you don't, and please take it away for you. And
yeah.
I always say, my famous thing is, you have to feel to heal. It is what it is. We got to cry, we cry.
You have to feel the hill, because that is real.
There you go. All right. Yeah, don't push them aside. Don't push any emotion aside.
Yeah, perfect. And before, like early on in my spiritual path, I used to try to push those away. And when those feelings come, oh, I can't feel this. I got to get back into this space of gratitude and love and things like that. And these little thoughts and emotion will come up, like we just mentioned. And what I do now is, like, when I do feel that, I just go for a walk or go somewhere. There's somewhere that I know that I can connect to a space bigger than me, and I just let it out and just having that conversation. And the cool thing about it is, once I let it out, I don't get a reflective back of shame or guilt.
Right.
Just a space like, hey, okay, I still love you.
Right. And that's the thing, is we're not judged. We ourselves judge ourselves so much more, right?
Yeah.
And we put this expectation on ourselves, and there is no expectation. There is no judgment. And sometimes we'll go, well, I didn't really say that too nice to my friend. I feel kind of bad. And we put that guilt on ourselves. Well, we recognize it. God's not shaming us for the way we talked. He's loving us, and you're aware of it. So you know that next time you can change it. But I love that you go to a different space. Find that sacred space. Where is that sacred space? I used to have it in my closet. I would go in my closet. That's where I would pray. No one could be in my closet. now I love just going outside and feeling connected to the universe and just letting things go like you did, Dell. And it's wonderful. You could speak it in your mind, you could speak it out loud, you could yell it, however you want. It'll be heard.
Yeah. And definitely took practice to get there, because it's easy to, once those thoughts come up, our ego excites, ooh, a little treat, like get in here and let's have some fun with this type of things. And to be able to discern when the ego shows up and disconnect to the higher power and having those conversations. But I realized that, like, when moments like that really start to come up is moments after healing experience that I had. And most importantly, the healing experience that I had with you, or Kaí and I actually had with you virtually, in which it was a profound experience. I only listened to the full thing once. And from there, it catapulted me to just a deep integrative healing process and experience, in which 2 times on there, you mentioned the pains that I was dealing with. And I was like, wow. And like she mentioned to you guys before, like she never talks to us like what's going on with you, but both times in the perfect moment, and right, I was feeling the pain right when you mentioned it.
Wow.
And then once you sent the love and energy towards that, it dissipated. And it's been a process, and I just got a message from it of honor the journey of this healing process. It's not only just a physical one, it's an emotional and a spiritual healing process. And as you heal, more comes up that wants to be loved. And it's just been a profound experience since then. And I'm actually intuitively called to listen to it again, because you can always get something new. And also, I always feel like if I have a healing experience with somebody, if I go back into it, it's like it gets more potent the more I actually go into that space.
Exactly. I always say listen to it more, because the second time you might hear something you didn't hear the first time, or it just, like you say, it activates more. I've never heard, we've never talked after your session, and I honor that with people, because you don't know, that's their sacred stuff. But to hear you speak about this and how you felt it, that's like, wow, right? Wow.
Yeah.
It's so real, and it's hard to explain that to people. Like, you guys have no idea the connection. We knew nothing about each other, but we were all connected as one in that loving space. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And also just showcase just how much the real deal that she is, Debra is, and also just how in tune she is with that divine nature and the connectedness and the oneness. And didn't have to mention anything, and she penned it. And even for everyone else, and there's even one time in it that you were talking about some nausea feeling in it, and that's exactly, I started feeling that too, like, oh man, like. But it was pretty cool because every single time I was feeling something, she would say something directly towards me.
Yeah, that's why I say the words will have meaning just to you, and you will know. And it's like they're being said for you, right? And like I don't know when you guys were in a group too.
Yeah.
And so that's even more profound, because you've got things coming for everybody. But I always feel that God forms those groups that everybody's going to relate to what the words are coming through, right? Because I always say, take them as if they're being talked directly to you, each and every word. Don't think, oh, that has to be for somebody else. They're all for you. Thank you for sharing your experience and being open to sharing it.
Yeah, no problem, man. What about you? How was your experience?
Oh God, put her on the spot.
I started listening to it twice, and both times I fell asleep while I was listening to it. But one of the things that was really healing and profound for me is thinking about that experience afterwards. It really gave me like this extra sense of compassion for myself that I just didn't have. I couldn't even fathom someone else feeling the pain or the way that I felt. And I would have never wanted anyone to feel that. But I made myself available and open to it. And only in that moment did I actually see myself.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And many people do fall asleep, and subconsciously you're still receiving it. So that's, you're seeing yourself that way and feeling it. You didn't have to listen to the whole thing. There's no right or wrong way to receive a healing. And you each were in that group and each took something different from it and had your own experience. So there wasn't a right or a wrong. It was just perfect. How beautiful is that to be able to say, I felt that love and love myself even more.
Yeah, it was like I was watching you on a TV screen doing whatever it was that you were doing. And I was like, as we were getting to the good part, and then I would fall asleep.
Wow, that's so cool. That's really cool. That's why I say each one of my sessions, it takes me to my knees. I'm like, they're so profound, and I have so much gratitude for each person that trusts me, to go to those spaces with them, because they're opening themselves up. One person said to me, I was a little like she knows so much about me now. Like, oh my gosh, like unnerving a little bit, but yet grateful. And she's like, how? And I'm not there to judge afterwards. When it's done, like how you were saying, I don't remember, I fell asleep. It's like in and gone. It's like, remind me what was said, so, but yes. And just to let people know, it is recorded, and that's why you can listen to it as many times as you want. It becomes yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're getting close. It's like so hard. An hour goes by so fast.
It does.
I have to answer that question. That's not there.
This one?
Or the first one too. Thank you, Peter. I just want to acknowledge whoever's watching live. So Peter mentioned he loves my T-shirt, and then the second question he said, "Is that cocoa?" No, it is a. It could be cocoa, but it's a Savage shirt, so it says Savage on it. And it's
How cool is that? That's great.
I love the comments. But yeah, it's just profound, and definitely grateful came across Debra at the right time. Like everything in life, but when you actually can catch those miracles that the universe sends to you in the form of whoever the universe is coming through, it's profound. And I was grateful that we were able to connect, and you're doing wondrous, powerful stuff here. And
thank you. And I just want to tell you, like, miracles come to us all the time. They don't have to be profound. Miracles are happening around us every day. And so if we can just see those miracles. I did write this book, Proof of Miracles. It tells stories, and some are profound, some are simple. And that's, I want people to know that they are a miracle, right? We're all a miracle. We're living life. That's a miracle. We're breathing. That's a gift. And just to never lose hope, always love yourself, honor yourself, and find those pieces of joy and gratitude in every day.
And just wow.
yeah.
I'm just so grateful. I feel like I have two new best friends.
New best friends. You were my best friend since we first connected.
Well, I know, but now we went deeper. Oh, look who jumped in.
Yeah, and another best friend.
And then we have another best friend. And you know what? Our pets give us unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a pet, give it a hug today. She obviously wanted to get noticed.
I'm gonna go hug my cat after this.
That's right. And they hug you back, right?
Oh,
You can feel that. That's the beauty of it. That love just spreads. So the message should be like, let's spread love, right? In whatever we do, smiling to someone or just being. Have you ever walked into a room where you feel the energy of someone like, oh, I want to be around that person. It feels so good. That's what we need to be, that bright light of that people are attracted to. And I said it from the first time, Dell, and I'm going to say it to both of you. When you guys smile, I feel that same beam, like, oh, I want to be around those people. They're awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
I do.
The feeling is mutual.
Oh, thanks. It's just, you just know, right? You just know, like you can walk into a room and go, uh-oh, I can feel heaviness. This is not good. This could be a heavy conversation. Or you can feel like, oh, wow, this feels good. And being outside for me is that light. It feels good because if you're stuck inside sometimes too much and you're starting to feel anxiety, please walk outside, because that you'll see the beauty around you. You'll feel the love surround you. And you can get it in your home, but when we feel that anxiety, sometimes we have to push ourselves to at least step outside. Mm-hmm. Ground yourself, put your feet in the grass or whatever you need to do, but look up to the sun and let it just soak in. And just know you matter. Like, you really matter, each and every one of us, no matter what job we're doing, you matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Peter says, this was a great podcast, Kaí and Dell. I've gotten to know you both of you better. The visual presentation in purple and your lovely wife is a gift. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, he's awesome.
And so are you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, you wait for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Until next time, stay magical.